just like the Flashpoint, where it starts, one of the key matrix lines that will help shatter this status centralized system.
Hello friends, and welcome to Flashpoint Radio. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Jay-Z. It is Tuesday, May 1st, 2012. May Day. Might as well gather around that communist maypole, that pagan maypole, to celebrate collectivism, the death of individualism, the death of liberty, stripping away of our rights and our freedoms, and the rise of the police state in the United States. May Day celebrations or protests or violent demonstrations were planned across the country. No major news has been made, which is a good thing. We don't need riots in the streets of America. We don't need agent provocateurs and homeless people and drug addicts out there causing the police and causing those that actually are fighting to keep us safe to do things that may cast a negative light on them. I'm not a giant fan of a huge police presence, but we need police for some things. But we do not need dumb occupiers out there causing chaos and getting the riot gear put on our police and giving them a taste for blood. So their operators can turn them on the American people when the word is made. So yes, there was no giant May Day shutdown of New York. There was no giant May Day shutdown of San Francisco or any other large major city that I found in the news today. Like I said yesterday in Flashpoint Radio, unions only make up about 12% of the workforce and only 7% of the private workforce. So they are not the 99%. Neither are college students or out-of-work Americans are the 99%. There are no 99%. We're all individuals, and we should be espousing our individual rights as such. We should be claiming our individualism and our sovereignty, not banding together to say that we as a society need to make things better, because we don't. We need to make things better in our personal lives, and that will gradually spread to those around us and will create a better world. When people that won't change their own lives decide to fix other people's lives, that's called tyranny. And that is what we're fastly moving towards in this country. We're going to start this evening on Flashpoint Radio with a story from St. Louis out of STL Today, the Post-Dispatch online website. Storms blew through over the weekend, bringing large-scale hail and high winds. And if people in St. Louis or Missouri weren't aware, a tent collapsed at a bar called Kilroy's down by Busch Stadium, and a gentleman, a 58-year-old gentleman, was killed, unfortunately. Well, about 100 people were injured. Upwards of 50 were treated. Dozens were taken to the hospital, and one gentleman died. Well, now there's talk of whether or not the tents are safe, whether or not we need these tents at the bars. The company that set up the tent said, quote, "Those things are not designed to be storm shelters," which to any common sense American would be, a human being, nevertheless, would be an obvious fact. But in America, where we need the government to sound the alarm for tornadoes and high winds and threatening weather, and we don't move unless the government puts a siren on or breaks into our newscast, we won't even move. In this America, in the America where it is the government who cried tornado, yes, people will not move on their own. People don't take their own safety into account. They wait for someone else to tell them if it's safe or if it's dangerous. If I see a black sky coming, high winds picking up, and heavy rains coming, I'm not going to stay inside a tent. But the part of this article that I very much enjoyed was this little quote from the owner of the bar. Said, "The city inspected the tent at least twice and gave the bar its permit." So, proof that the government cannot keep you safe, that we should not be paying for at least 2 inspections of tents when obviously they cannot withstand high winds. I don't expect the government to be able to tell if a tent can withstand high winds. I expect citizens to be able to tell when they should not be in a tent. We should not be blaming this on anybody. We should be blaming this on the people that thought they were safe in a canvas or a fabric tent during high winds and hail. Maybe you drink a little bit less. Don't go down to as many ball games. Maybe you stay at home with your family and watch the game on TV instead of spending your hard-earned money to people who don't really, care about you. But that's the America we live in. Moving right along, though, to a story I saw in the USA Today while walking by the newspaper stand. It caught my eye, considering yesterday's story on Flashpoint Radio regarding the FDA possibly allowing patients to buy prescription drugs over the counter without a prescription. This headline was what I saw. Number of painkiller-addicted newborns triples in 10 years. It states about 3.4 of every 1,000 infants born in a hospital in 2009 suffered from a type of drug withdrawal commonly seen in the babies of pregnant women who abuse narcotic pain medications. Oh joy, the pharmaceutical companies who push their drugs on TV and push their drug sellers to the doctors, and then eventually it gets to the patients. Yes, they are now addicting our unborn children to painkillers. I found it funny that this stat comes from babies born in a hospital, probably because people who are smart enough to do the research might understand, as my wife and I do, that having a home birth with a midwife who is actually concerned about birthing children and not treating pregnancy as a condition is the way to go. Less chemicals, less drugs is the way to go. Childbirth, pregnancy, conception is a miracle given by God. It is not a condition that needs to be treated by a medical doctor in order to get the woman through it. It needs to be something that should be experienced in its full glory and its full splendor. But about 13,539 infants a year are born addicted to painkillers. And what do they do with these infants that are addicted to painkillers? Well, they give them methadone, and they step down the methadone dosage. I know personally from close relatives that methadone is worse than heroin. It is worse than the drugs that they are addicted to. Why? Because that's the only thing to get someone off a drug is a stronger drug. So yes, we are treating painkiller addictions with more painkillers. Not that there's a safer way. I'm not sure what that is. But shouldn't we be looking into why prescription painkillers are, well, as it says in this article, they cause more overdose deaths than heroin and cocaine combined. Well, okay, cause more deaths than heroin and cocaine combined. Babies are being born addicted to it. It seems as in the 80s we had crack babies, and George W. Bush's wife, Barbara Bush, decided to trot out crack babies as a reason to start the war on drugs. And Nancy Reagan before her. Well, it looks like it might be the prescription legal medicine that is now causing all of the deaths in this United States. But it's too big of an industry. Drug dealers don't need lobbyists. They don't allow drug dealer lobbyists. Well, unless you count Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase, who helped to, shuttle in the drugs from South America and Mexico and use the ATF and the FBI to shuttle guns down into Mexico with Fast and Furious. But the death rate from overdoses in 2007 was 12 in 100,000, 3 times higher than 91. So as I've stated on Flashpoint Radio before, are prescription pain medications and pharmaceuticals not the reason people are dying? Are they not the true scourge upon the nation? Then why are we spending so many billions of dollars on a false drug war that is just filling our privately owned prisons with minorities and nonviolent drug offenders? Should we not be putting pharmaceutical reps in jail? Should we not be using SWAT teams to bust down your doctor's office door when he prescribes Vicodin to somebody when they get a broken leg, when, a simple aspirin could do, or possibly a natural pain medication, possibly something that grows in the ground, possibly something natural like cannabis that has no addictive properties and has never killed one person recordedly. No overdoses in cannabis. Overdoses from prescription medications cause more than heroin and cocaine combined. Nah, don't worry about it. Don't look here, people. Pharmaceutical companies can do whatever they want. Did you even know that before, I believe it was 1993 or 96, there weren't any drug commercials on TV? How did you think they got that done? Lobbyists. Money. How do you think they got that money? Well, the Federal Reserve printing up fake dollar bills, which allows for criminals like this to use the money to kill us. So yes, please, if you're on prescription pain medication, talk to your doctor and work on getting off of it. Find natural remedies. Most healing can come from your diet and from your healthy lifestyle. You do not need drugs to feel better, especially chemical drugs. Chemical drugs is what causes the cancer that we have today. So please, go to Natural News. Find a homeopath or a naturopath. You do not need to have an MD. Guess what? You don't have to. MDs aren't the only doctors in this country. Now, some places, they'll throw doctors who aren't MDs in jail for practicing medicine, but why don't you trust the medicine that's been around for centuries? And that is natural medicine, natural healing, herbal medicine, natural remedies, and don't rely on government-sponsored corporations and government-connected pharmaceutical companies that, well, they don't care about you. They just care about the profits and their board members being happy and their stock prices going up. Guess who doesn't have a stock price? God. Guess what doesn't have a stock symbol? Vitamin C. Natural fish oils. They don't have stock prices. There's no stock prices for organic food. But there's a stock price for Pfizer and Merck. Yeah, they'll take your money and they'll build their profits on you, on the deaths of millions of Americans. Why should they care? I don't expect them to care. That's the nature of their business. You should care about your own health. Question your doctors. Question the government. Question everybody who states that they're in an authority. Why give them the benefit of the doubt because they have a badge or a degree on the wall? You know how many scumbags have a degree on the wall? Give me a break. Wake up, people. Read the news. Read the real news. Open your eyes and view reality in its full splendor. The good and the bad. Because until you recognize the bad, you'll never see the full scope of the good in this world. And there is so much good in this world. Jay-Z signing off saying, God bless, keep your eyes to the sky, and see me again tomorrow.
Well, if you're looking for trouble,